Welcome back to another episode of Willpower, the podcast where we talk about the uncovered stories about willpower, how to achieve goals, and how to stay focused. In today's episode, we have Cat Necula. Cat, thank you very much for being here
Thank
today.
you so much for having me. Well,
I'm very excited to have you here.
me too. Very excited too, my man. So
I know that we've been talking about this podcast for so long,
yes, we have.
and
Yes, we
finally
have.
we are making it.
We made it. We made it. Thank you so much again. Thanks a lot for it's an honor. And I just say congratulations on a great podcast, actually. The setup is amazing. So fantastic for what you have achieved, my friend. Fantastic.
you.
And thank you again for having
you.
me. So yeah, here we are.
I want to start with a very important question, which is the
Sure.
name of the podcast. What's willpower to you?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. You know, it's funny because you kind of like asked me about it before, and I was thinking actually what would be the best way. But from my perspective, I think it's the ability to adapt. So the way I look at things is this: we wake up in the morning, right, and we don't know what we're going to face throughout the day. So when people talk about willpower, it's like, oh yeah, I have to achieve something regardless of whatever. I have to go through pain. I have to go. Well, to me, it's not that. It's a smarter approach through adaptability. So, you may have a goal, you may have a target, and you want to achieve those things, but actually you have to deal with unknown, with obstacles every single day. So the moment you wake up in the morning, the day starts, and the goal is to complete the day. So for me, the willpower is to be able to go through the day, adapt to whatever is thrown at me throughout that day, finish the day on a positive, and then look forward to the next day and the next day. And it's a learning experience in a way like this, because if you find yourself in a situation when you feel quite uncomfortable, but you find the willpower to adapt, I think you can overcome lots of obstacles in life. So when we kind of think about like, oh, I would like to achieve a certain target, a certain goal, which is a long-term thing, then you have your daily problems or whatever, obstacles to go through. So that's what happens. You have to deal with those things to achieve the goal.
100%.
So to me is a highest form of adaptability. That's the willpower to me. I hope he kind of answers the question.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you,
I really like how you started from the day and then going forward to the journey and then just getting anything that comes to you and then deal with that.
It's a more realistic approach, I think, because before we take things too far, we need to deal with now. So it's now, right? So we have to deal with the present, and we need to find the right, the right way is always different, right, for every single individuals. But in my case, I try to find the positive outcome of everything which happens around me, right? And I try to be able to adapt to overcome any kind of events, any obstacles, any situations may feel uncomfortable. Because like I said, the day is pretty long if you think about it. When you think like, oh yeah, you know what, this is it. The day is over. You may schedule things in advance, like you schedule this podcast, but we don't know how the podcast is going to actually run, correct?
That's correct.
So you prepare yourself to a certain extent, but actually, I have to have the ability for adapting this moment.
100%.
Yeah, without forcing it.
Yeah.
So it has to flow naturally. So for me, this is what it's all about.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you, man.
I also know that you are into martial arts.
Yeah.
And then how do you think that martial arts can build willpower?
I truly believe that martial arts builds character.
Wow.
I truly believe martial arts build self-discipline. I think if you have the two working well together, the willpower is already there. Because, again, when you train, you not train just your body, you train your mind as well. So the two things, they work hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So it's a fine line, you have to find that balance. And I truly, I mean, in my case, I started martial arts when I was very young. Back home in Romania, I come from a very small city from Romania.
Which one?
Focșani.
Focșani.
It's east part of Romania.
Okay.
And I came here, first time I came in 1998, and then I went back and then came back a year later. And that's it. I've been in the UK since. So in a way, I call this my home, and I'm very grateful to be here. And it's given me the opportunity to actually encounter a lot more and be open to so much more experiences than being back home, back in the days. Now Romania has changed a lot. So, it's a lot of information going through, obviously internet and everything. But here, like I said, I started martial arts then. And I trained throughout my university years, and I came here. And when I felt a bit more comfortable, settling, then I start looking for different, clubs to train and everything. And I've been training in so many martial arts. And in the end, the main experience coming out of everything I've done, because I'm not going to point fingers, that was good, that was bad, that was whatever, is the discipline. And that built my self-discipline. And I apply the same discipline in everything I do in life. And I think that's what it actually helps with. It builds the character. It builds the self-discipline. And if you apply the same principles in your day-to-day life, whatever you do, whatever you're trying to achieve, if you're like a career person and everything, I think if you are self-disciplined, I think that's the recipe for success.
That's the recipe for success. And can you give me a very practical example of like how to build discipline through martial arts?
Show up.
Show up. That's the first
Show
thing.
up.
Good.
Because I think it's easy on a bad day, let's just call it a bad day, to feel a bit more like, to feel not lazy necessarily, but lacking that energy and motivation. But I truly believe that if your mind tells you, or you kind of like, not necessarily, sometimes, yes, it's called forcing yourself to get up and do things, right? That's the willpower.
Yeah, it has
then what you do is like, hey, you know what? If I go, you're not going to think about, all right, I'm going to go there to build my character and to build my self-discipline. You know what? If I go there, I change something on my day-to-day schedule, and it's a new experience for me. So it's an experience. Just showing up, it's an experience on its own. Now, what's going to happen during the training is that you also acquire skills. And at the end of the session, you'll feel like, actually, I gained some experience.
Yeah.
So now what happened is, once you start and every time you feel a little bit of like, low energy and everything, you start thinking about that time when I showed up and I felt good at the end of it. And that can be something for your mind to reset and think like, you know what? This is a good thing for me. It's a positive thing to do. So I'm going to go. I'll bring this into my schedule, in my day-to-day, routine. And I think that's how it works. And showing up, like I said, in a dojo, in a club, whatever, I think already, you start shaping that self-discipline. And I think it's going to help you.
This is very inspiring. Wow. This is very inspiring.
Thank you.
I like how you start from, doesn't matter your state of mind.
Yeah.
Just try.
Yeah.
And then definitely at the end, you're going to get something good out of it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I truly, this is kind of my way of thinking. I try to be, it's not always easy, a positive person. I truly believe I am. I'm also very pragmatic as well as a person. So, I'm not trying to be positive just for the sake of being positive. I try to sort of like build this positivity in as a real thing, So not just like, oh, let me just try to be positive, but actually I'm not. So I really need to feel it. So you become positive, I think personally, by experiencing different things. And the ones they're very constructive. So I think martial arts is one of them. To me, it's a very constructive sort of like passion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I obviously, I will always suggest, and I for all the people watching and everything, if they have kids, I encourage them to take them to a martial arts place. I think it's great for kids, for self-discipline, again, building characters, and also the focus. Things will change, but in good, yeah? People shouldn't think about, the pain they have to go through, the things. Hey, life is a pain.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, life it is.
Might as well just deal with it, So, like, you start young. And I think, I truly believe it's a good way to learn how to deal with some disappointments because, I haven't achieved that belt. It takes me too long and everything. But patience also it builds patience. And patience is so important in life. Very important. No laziness, patience.
Patience. Wow. Wow. Clearly, patience gave you a lot over time because we live in a society where we want everything quick and now. And then I don't want to lie, I'm one of them. But lately, thanks to meditation and also thanks to martial arts, because I do kickboxing,
I know you do.
I just realized that patience is the key for the long-term goals.
Yeah.
You actually said that you're very positive and pragmatic, which is a very good combination. How do you talk to yourself?
How do I?
How do you talk to yourself? Clearly, you have some thoughts inside about showing up every day, and what are actually the things that you say to yourself when?
It's very interesting that you're asking me this. I mean, I think when I was younger, because you don't have that maturity, when you're young, right? But you see the movies, you see this as, I want to be like him. I want to be like that. I want to get to black belt. So you set goals, right, at that time. And once you start sort of like, how can I say, working towards those goals, you start thinking less and less about the goals and enjoy the journey. So I don't need to talk to myself into anything these days. I just show up. I don't have injuries. Happy man. I can go and I enjoy the day because that actually now makes me happy. It's my form of meditation.
Yeah.
So I found my form of meditation through martial arts, and that makes me happy. So I don't even need to think too much about it. I don't need to drag myself into it. Of course, I've got days when I feel like, do I really want to go? Yeah, hang on a minute. Do I really want to go to work? Okay, let's side of the martial arts, the class and everything. Do I really want to go to work? But then again, hey, listen, we have to. We have to find that willpower to get through the day. And then, you start the day and you find yourself in that place where like, hey, today I've got this class, so I'm going to go to the class. I don't need to talk myself into it. It's part of my daily routine. And it's nice. It's a good routine to have because, at the end of it, you'll feel very good about it. Although when you start the day, you felt very, like lacking energy and very lethargic. So I think I passed that. Before it was the achievement factor. I need to achieve that when I was younger. Now I don't think about. Now I just feel like this is my form of meditation.
Wow. It sounds like you kind of like started from a place where you set goals, and then over time you kind of like realized his gratitude mindset.
Yes,
where you just say
that's correct.
Where you just say that you're very happy that you don't have injuries, correct. And that's what exactly keeps you going.
That's not true, though. I do have loads of injuries.
Yeah.
No, but I know. Yeah, no, the way it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's just a form of meditation, and even if I have injuries, I have to find a way to work around them without pushing into it too much, because I know what's going to happen if you start kind of like going, oh man, I have to go through this. I need to go through pain. It's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's always good to focus on what you are grateful for, and also focus on what you have instead of like what you don't have.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good. Talking about, I can see there, Moda and Max Moda training. I love that.
Yeah.
You also teach street defense.
Teaching it.
Wait 1 second, because here I want to understand a bit more.
Okay.
Clearly, we train in the same gym, and
sure.
I know that you are a very good jiu-jitsu coach, which is amazing.
I'm not maybe a good jiu-jitsu coach. Okay,
You are?
by all
Okay.
means, it's very kind for you to say. But it's yeah. Okay, please ask me the question because I don't want to jump.
And then one day I just saw you in the gym training for street defense, and I was wondering what's actually street defense training, and then how does it look like?
Sure. Right. So in terms when it comes to street defense, because my martial arts background is going to take me way back. So I started with karate, and then I moved into something called taijutsu. Then I did Filipino martial arts and everything inside. But along the way, right, I've come across a gentleman called Antonio Faeda, who is the founder of Nuda Max Training, right? And me and him, we're like brothers, right? And we call each other brothers in arms. We have a very similar way of thinking about what is happening out there in terms of, a street confrontation. He had quite a few, cases of where he had to handle himself. He's very good. He's a great martial artist. He's an accomplished martial artist. I have huge respect for him. And together we start experimenting from our personal sort of like experience, individual experience. We did, boxing, Muay Thai, he did as well. I did other things, weaponry, jiu-jitsu, boxing, a bit of everything, So we start putting together all these elements. And we realized that we have so much in common. But one thing I'm going to say here, apart from the structure and everything else which Nuda Max is actually offering, is the idea of using this particular system to your own needs. So you adapt it to your own body and everything. So you can become very creative. So you are offered something, but then you can use the creativity, your own personal sort of like body and your creativity to make it work for yourself. But the most important thing I will say in self-defense is awareness. So without awareness, street defense doesn't exist. So in reality, the street defense is you being able to de-escalate a situation. It's not to get into it, right? So like we were talking, early on, like if I just get on a bus or I get on a tube, the first thing I do, I sit somewhere where I feel safer, so very close to the exits. Yeah, I look around me, I look what's happening, and a couple of times I just go off the tube because I felt uneasy. So I didn't care, whether I had to wait for another train or whatever. I didn't care about that. I just felt very uneasy. It was something there which didn't feel quite right. Yeah, and I just got off. So to me, that's self-defense. That's street defense. In terms of technique, in terms of acquiring sort of like knowledge, how to use your body as a street defense weapon. Weapon, I shouldn't say street defense, no weapon.
No.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to kind of like be able to handle yourself. You know what? I believe that cross-training is fantastic. I believe that learning something, like I said, which, well, to me, very important is a martial art, a combat sport, which is called combat for a reason, which has sparring, full sparring in it. You have to be able to understand when you are in a very kind of like in a situation where someone really wants to hurt you. I know in a gym, your training partner doesn't want to hurt you. That's for sure, because it's a controlled environment, but it's giving you that sort of kind of like attitude that, he's trying to win the fight between the two of you and you're trying to win, from your side. Yeah. So I think sparring, any martial art which actually involves sparring, it's a good martial art to actually to go and to practice. Those where they work just on, I would say, drills and everything, I don't really believe in them unless you use them specifically for fitness, because they can create a very false sense of confidence. So I think it's good to know how it feels to take a punch, to be thrown, to deal with people on the floor, to deal with people, standing up. So I think it's good to know how it feels to feel a bit under pressure.
Yeah.
And I always say it's very hard, it's almost impossible to replicate a street confrontation in a controlled environment. The partner you have in front of you is not going to shout. It's not going to kind of like abuse you verbally. It's not going to literally try to get into your brain, right? It's not going to do that, right? Yeah. You'll put the gloves on and you square up and you go for it, yeah? And then you try to use your skills you've accumulated throughout the years of training, experience, yeah? To basically, not to beat him up, but to win that particular sparring session, right? So in a street, it's a little bit different. That's why I said to you before, it's more to do with awareness than anything, right? Because when someone starts shouting, someone starts giving you like a low of like attitude and everything, you don't know how your body will react. Not even your body, your brain, how will register that. So how you actually deal with it, even though you might call yourself a good fighter and, you just, hit anyone, you're very good at sparring and everything and stuff. But then you don't have that in your gym, right? Because that's your partner, that's your training partner. It doesn't want to hurt you, really. Yeah? So it's quite hard, to kind of build that sort of like mentality. So when I say street defense, I pretty much work on scenarios. And I feel like, right, if I'm in a situation like that, I will respond without thinking too much about what that person, is telling me or is shouting at me. So I'll shut everything off and I will focus on what I have to do to survive, if I can say that. Yeah. You have your partner with you, right? Let's say in a situation and someone really is harassing her and everything. Of course, you're not going to just stay there and say, you'll try to talk your way out of it and, hey, man, just whatever. But then if he carries on, you will have to do something. Yeah. But you will do what it comes natural to you at that particular moment in time.
I mean, I can say I found myself once in this situation.
And
I was already doing kickboxing at the time. Mm-hmm. I thought that I was strong. I could defend myself.
Right.
But as you said, there is the mental part which we are not trained to deal with.
Yeah.
And I remember this man was kind of like trying to shout on my partner at the time.
Yeah.
And my natural reaction was like defending her.
Yes,
but
of course.
How my body felt in that moment was just something that I never felt before, because I wasn't thinking to let's just go and let's fight, because that's not the first thought.
Sure.
But clearly all the ideas, all the thoughts that you have is like, okay, what's going to happen? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
And I want to ask you actually, how do you deal with that? Because clearly...
With the nerves.
Yeah, because clearly it's all about the person that can stay calm is actually the person that can get the best outcome.
Sure. You can control the outcome, yes. Again, it's a personality thing, though. It's very hard to tell how I'm going to deal with this. I mean, I was in few situations and everything, but not many. Most of them, if it was coming close to that, I de-escalated, verbally. And it was cool. And probably I'm not exactly a small guy, and people don't tend not to kind of go like, because they don't know, hey man, this guy is a big guy, whatever. They normally, what they do? They just take on someone, skinny. Sometimes you never know. Even a skinny guy can know a lot of stuff. Yeah,
100%.
But they tend to, because they feel important and they feel big, and they just, they have that threatening attitude, and they just, take on a little guy. So in my case, I was in very few situations, but like I said, most of the time it was the escalation through, talking.
Yep.
But if I was to be in I was in a thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I want to ask you. Did you ever find yourself in an actual situation?
I did. But like I said, I didn't have to fight. Okay. This is a good thing. I mean, the guy, you'll be surprised what I'm going to say. So it was in St. John's Wood, right?
Oh, wow.
So I was walking. So you see, now nowhere is safe. So I was actually walking. I was, I think Queen's Grove. And I was walking towards, I can't remember exactly. Sometimes I just go around that way. And there was I just looked on the other side of the road, and there were two guys there, and one of them looked at me and said, "What are you looking at?" So they start sort of like having it's like, my God, this is a bit, uncalled for. I mean, I just looked, and the guy started walking towards me. I say, "My friend, I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at the building behind you, and it was really nice, beautiful architecture." The guy didn't know it, so he was puzzled. What am I talking about? Architecture, it's like, so immediately said, okay, man. And that's what it said. So he was coming towards me. I said, "Look," because what am I going to do? "Hey, man, what do you want?" Then you start a very fiery conversation, and you don't know the outcome. So I'm good with that. I can talk, right? Be in a way respectful and try not to aggravate things. So I think talking is quite important. When I was doing the doors, because I did briefly the doors in Greenwich, as a bouncer, as a security guy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Long time ago. It was a very interesting experience. But that was in a club. The guy was fueled in cocaine and whatever he was drinking. And he was really causing a lot of issues. I was the nearest to him. And I told him, "Hey, man, whatever." So, he came back. He took a bottle, right? Because at the time they had bottles and everything. And my first instinct, I'm not going to be bottled, man. I elbowed him. He went straight on the floor. He stood up. Because the thing is, although you hit someone hard, when they're high on things, their brain functions differently, So maybe I didn't hit him in a spot to spark him out and just knock him out. So he stood up. But by then, I called in for help. And a couple of other, sort of like colleagues, they came and just literally they took him by the legs and everything and they threw him out. So that was another, but it wasn't a street situation.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the doors, again, most of the time, people, they're kind of very aggressive, very this and that. And I was just talking my way. I'm just trying to make people understand that I'm just trying to do a job. So I think it's quite important to understand that. So the fact that I can, and I'm not getting like anxious and nervous and everything, and I can still talk, that means I'm still lucid. I can still see what's happening. So I can assess. Because I know the moment someone touches me, certain drills I practice for that.
Wow.
So I know when I'm being touched, there's no room to come back. There's no room for me to try to sort of like talk to someone who's already kind of put his hands on me when I try to sort of like keep a little bit of a space between me and him.
Yeah.
And that's basically when you have to act. But then how you act is how you train. So that's why I train for those sort of things, those sort of circumstances, and I drill those in case something like this will happen. So I'll try and verbally, I'll try to de-escalate the situation. But when I know there's no chance, there's no other way, then I will act according to how I train.
Yeah.
It won't be any difference.
And do you think that like in a city like London, where the crime is rising every day, do you think that people should start thinking more about getting a self-defense course? Or
I will say to you this, it's not about self-defense course. It's not about that. I think it's about people going and train a martial art, a combat sport, where they learn not how to handle themselves. This is a big, big difference. It's about their own discipline. It's about not building a false confidence. It's about putting the gloves on, learning from a good coach, yeah, and have a bit of sparring at the end with the skills you acquire there, with the tools you have. And when someone is trying to hurt you, you try to also hurt him, but you know what I mean,
Yep.
In a class environment. Hey, a punch is a punch, a kick is a kick, a throw is a throw, work on the floor is work on the floor. You need to work because you have someone on you. The other guy needs to work to come whatever underneath. It's all kind of like work you put in. You strengthen your body, you strengthen your mind, and that's what it's all about. It's not about, I'm going to go and do a self-defense course.
yeah,
I'm sorry. Not for me. It doesn't work for me like that. And I'm going to say one thing, though. I know some people, they're going to hate me for me saying that, but as you know, I don't really care. It's about the knife. It's one of those things where I believe people should not teach self-defense against knife. I'm sorry. I'm going to be very straight about that because I think this is where loads of things that go wrong. This is where people build that false confidence. And if they are in a situation, you can get yourself killed. So to me, this is a no-no. And I know the knife crime in London, probably in the UK, it's huge. It's really, really high.
It is.
So all you need is awareness. And if you're in a situation when someone pulls a knife on you and he have no idea about how to do anything or whatever, if the guy is asking you for things, just give it. Yeah. People say, "Oh, run." Yeah. What's happening if I have a bad knee and I can't? What am I going to do? I'm going to trip. The guy comes after me and gets frustrated that he couldn't get what he wanted, and then I get stabbed. So you don't have too many choices there, right? So when I hear about, oh, you know, this martial arts teaches this knife defense and everything, it's wrong. You know what you train in a class which says we train, you know, knife defense? No, you train to be stabbed with a blunt, non-pointy weapon, which in worst case scenario is going to give you a bruise. That's not going to be reality with a real knife, and can never replicate a real situation out there with someone with a knife. Believe me, there are cases of like very highly experienced mixed martial arts and everything. They got into fights with people with knives. They didn't even think about it, and they end up being stabbed like crazy. And for what? Hey man, you know what? I always say live to die another day. You know, it's better when you are confronted with someone with a knife, just play it, just very like, hey, yes, no problem, take. Sorry, man, sorry, I just want to, I've got, you know, kids, I've got, just kind of plead for your life. I know it's going to sound bad. Like, what, a tough man like you? Yes, my friend. Yes, a tough man like me. Believe me, I know how it is to be stabbed. I'm sorry. I trained with knives, real knives for 4.5 years. I got stabbed in training, and that's a controlled environment. And I stabbed someone in the hand. I know I shouldn't be saying that live, but I did it. And I know what a knife can do to you. Trust me, it's not nice. So when I hear people say, yeah, if you do this, if you do that, you know, these classes, they do self-defense against knife, don't fall for it. You know what? Train jiu-jitsu. Train any combat sport, like I said, which gives you that sort of like ability to be able to take a punch, to throw a punch correctly. You know how hard it is to throw a punch correctly. People think, oh yeah, I can throw a punch. No, you can't. Believe me, it takes skills. Learn that. Learn those things, yeah? Don't think too much about, oh yeah, you know, but I need to learn how to train with knives and everything. No. Or you have something in your hand to put between you and the man with the knife. Oh, fantastic, yeah. If I have an equalizer, I'll use it. You know, I will never carry a weapon, but if I can grab something and put it between me and the guy with the knife, 100% I'll do it. That's my self-defense against knife.
Wow. I really love the way that you share this because it's very genuine. And one of the reasons why you are here today is also because I admire you for the
It's very
big
kind
heart
of you. I
that
admire you
have.
too. Thank you so much.
And I just want to understand more how actually this journey started, because clearly you don't do this to hurt other people, but you do this to inspire other people and to feel safe and protect yourself. But actually, what's your first thought that brought you to start doing martial arts and clearly
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Bruce Lee.
That's just the first movies, you know, you could see, on VHS. That's how it started, man. And, you know, as I mentioned to you before, I was a b-boy. I was a street dancer.
Wow.
Yeah? And I really liked to, you know, the physicality, you know, the movements and everything. And I think, you know, if you think about it, right, there's a lot of, I'm not going to say, you know, martial arts, you know, whatever. Yeah, capoeira. You know, it's very, I never done it. No. But what I'm saying is, you know, the movements and everything, using the body as a kind of tool, you know, to move and everything. I think the martial arts also, I saw that because I wasn't bullied at school. No. I didn't start martial arts because I was bullied. You know, I know loads of, you know, kids and everything, they started because of that. No, it wasn't, it wasn't the case. Actually, I remember, far from it, I've never been a bullied, but there was a situation, I was, I don't know, 12 years old or something like that. So I was in a courtyard and everything and stuff. Like we were playing football and someone said, oh, I want to, whatever. So he came straight to me. And I wasn't doing anything at the time, right? But I just punched the guy, put him on the floor, and that's it. So that was enough for me to make a name for myself in the school so no one would mess with me. And I didn't do anything. I didn't train, you know. So, but then there was nothing to do with bullying and stuff. I just enjoy the fact that, you know, I saw Bruce Lee and I was like, oh man, this is cool. And as schools, they start sort of like kind of opening after 89, after the communist regime, you know, obviously was over. Then I was like, hey, you know, I would like to train this. And there were just very few schools at the time. There were many schools, you know, especially in my city because it's a small city. But I started with Shotokan Karate and I just carry on. And, you know, once I get to university, I carry on with that. And like I said, I just love the discipline behind it. Once I start enjoying it, because in my mind, oh, I want to get to black belt level. I want to be a master. Yeah, that's what 13, 14 years old boy, you know, think. But then I started enjoying not necessarily the results of my hard work. It's just, like I said, the discipline behind it. It makes me feel really good about myself. I don't know.
I love that. I mean, if I have to like summarize all of these, I will say what you're actually saying is like, be passionate about something.
Yes.
Put some goal on it.
Yes.
Enjoy the journey.
100%.
And be grateful for what you have.
100%. You just put it perfectly, man. 100%.
I love that.
It's very simple, but very hard as well. Because people, they expect too much of themselves. And I think the expectation sometimes brings a lot of disappointment. Just set small goals. Just like I said, show up.
Show up.
And enjoy. Enjoy that moment. Enjoy the journey. Because that's what it's all about in the end, you know? I'm going to say something very, like, to me, it's like this. People sometimes live their lives like they're going to have 20 lives. I think it's important to live the life you have now and enjoy every single bit of it. Just enjoy every moment. I think this is it. It's the journey which counts. You know, of course you have to set some goals, you know, because as you get older, your energy level is not going to be as high. But if you set some goals, you know, when you still have the energy, like I said, you have to go through the days to end up where you want to be. But along the way, you'll have so many ups and downs that if you have that form, like I told you, the adaptability factor, you can get through those ups and downs, well, mostly the downs, because the up is always good, but you'll get the downs as well. And you'll have one day closer to achieve those goals. But take one step at a time instead of like, oh, I want this and I want it now. The new generation is a bit like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I feel that they have no patience. You know, the rules are very simple, I think, from my perspective. Be patient, but don't be complacent or lazy. Yeah? So patience is a virtue, but it has to be nourished. You have to work on it. So martial arts, I think, will teach you patience.
Wow, you are sharing a lot of insights that I really love.
It's what I believe, anyway.
I really like
they're my thoughts.
Really like what you said. People live their life like they have 20 lives.
I don't know. I feel like, you know, sometimes when you talk to people and everything, and they want. They want. Everything is about want. But how about to create, build, to just take it easy? You know, easy in the sense that cherish every single day. You know, be grateful.
Yeah.
Every single day, be grateful. You know, wake up in the morning and that's a blessing. You know, because some people, they're not that lucky. You know, and you want, I want this. I want to achieve this. It's fine. But go through the day first. You know, set the goals, realistic goals. Another thing, people set unrealistic goals, or they want other people's goals.
Yeah, I mean,
and achievements.
Comparisons is never a good thing. Like
Absolutely.
Comparing yourself to someone else, most of the time just like end up with some disappointments.
Absolutely. Because you don't live the other person's lives. You don't have what the other person has, but you have your own. And basically build on what you have. Build on your positives. Nourish them. Grow them. Use them in your favor to achieve what you want to achieve. I think that's, well, it's easy to say it's easy, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's, of course, maybe that's come with experience. I mean, the more you experience it, the more you try it, and the more you understand.
Yes. The more you get disappointed, the more disappointments you have in life, and you manage to overcome them, I think that will make you stronger. Also, it can really put you down.
Yes.
That's where the willpower comes in.
100%. Even because real growth starts where you can actually handle the pain.
Yes.
When you can handle the pain with willpower, that's where you actually start growing.
Correct. Nothing wrong in crying from time to time, and shows your emotions. People, they always think, oh, no, I'm a tough man. I can't. Nah, man. It's good to get it out, just release a little bit, It's good. It's like all these like tough guys and everything and stuff. There's always a softer side of people, right? And from time to time, it's good to let it out, Be honest to yourself.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. Always be honest to yourself, and be respectful towards yourself. But most importantly, be kind to yourself. Very important.
What are the practical tips that you can share to people in order to be kind to themselves and to be honest with themselves?
Have from time to time, I will tell you what I think, right? It's just from my perspective. You have the highs and the lows in life,
Yes.
right? You wake up in the morning and you feel like energetic. Use that day to do most of the work you think you can do on that day because you have the high energy in, yeah? Just like really go for it, yeah? Don't think too much about it. Do what you need to do and finish the day on a high. The next day, you're on a low. Don't know why, but you feel low. You feel like, oh man, I can't. I just like, that day, you still have to go to work, but you know what? Take it a little bit easier and reassess a little bit your life, Give yourself a little bit of time when you start thinking, you know what? Let me think about my life a little bit. It's like, well, actually, I haven't done too bad. I'm okay. Give yourself a pat on the shoulder, yourself. And maybe set up some new goals or set up something. So that day needs to be a day where you readjust a little bit, you recalibrate, yeah, emotionally. So that will be, to me, a way of day. I mean, a day when I just, it's about myself and I try to recalibrate a little bit, yeah. And think about the positives, not about the negatives. Because it's nothing negative about your life. The negative thoughts are your own thoughts at the end of the day. And if you nourish those will grow. So you have to remove those thoughts from your brain. Doesn't matter how hard life is, people they suffer, they go illnesses and everything and stuff like that. But when you talk to them, they still keep, that smile and they're still brave and, they just tell you, hey man, look, life is good. Life is good. Don't worry about anything, just enjoy your life, be grateful for everything you have. So a bit of like reassessment and recalibration, it will teach you that sort of kindness, but it's the kindness to yourself. When you're kind to yourself and respect yourself, you can be kind to other people and can respect other people. But it's all about yourself in the end. That's what it is. You have to be respectful and kind to yourself. And then you understand how to be kind to other people as well.
Wow, I love that. That's exactly what we normally talk about here, because everything starts within you.
Yes.
Because when you start focusing too much outside,
yes,
then you kind of like lose the connection between the actual reality that you're living and your actual goals that you want to achieve.
Yes. No, absolutely. I think everything starts within.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this, because it's amazing.
No, thank you for.
I want to talk about something very, very interesting.
Please.
I know that you are a very passionate art investor.
Yeah, art, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
how did that start? I mean, from martial arts to art.
But yeah, this is the thing. It's nothing to do. There's no correlation between the two. Honestly, it's nothing. So the art itself, the art, not the martial art, the art, the fine art. I think as well the roots are back into my, little creativity I had. I think I still have a little bit, right? From my days as a street dancer, right? And because, like I said, Romania was very closed and you couldn't actually, see much outside. But the music always was there. You had obviously this opening to music. And, although, I was a big boy, like I said, I was breakdancing and everything. So when I came in my 20s here, not immediately, but I always knew about the fact that the street dance is linked to street art, yeah? The graffiti and everything. And a little bit later, I started, hey, you know what? I kind of want to look a little bit more into it. Let's see who are the street artists, here in the UK, and then start kind of looking a little bit further. But I start with the UK. Heard about Banksy. Wow, okay, Banksy. Start looking a little bit more into it and everything. And then Nick Walker and Deface and the Shepard Fairey, in the States. Later on, people like Kos and everything. Like big names, now. And I looked at their sort of like art, and I was like, man, I like this. And I remember, I joined a forum, an art forum, and I started getting a little bit more information about it and everything. And people were talking about, hey, listen, I'm selling this, I'm selling that, everything. And I had some savings at the time, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to buy a Banksy, And I remember buying my first Banksy print, which was a Silver Flag, was called. And believe me, they're not cheap. Even at the time, it was £1,000. It's a lot of money. I mean, later on, that proved to be a very good investment. Yeah. And that's how I started. Black Laureate and just all these names linked to street art, purely. So, I build on that. And then people were trading and everything. And that's how I started doing it. Buying things, selling things to buy something else. And slowly, my art collection started growing. And it's funny because no one got me into it. I got myself into it. Yeah. And I learned the hard way. So doing a lot of research and everything. Luckily, the internet was there. So it helped a lot. But later on, I started looking a little bit outside. And I started looking more like young contemporary artists, students mainly. And I started going to their graduation shows. I started looking for, different things which they kind of like, they attracted me, Because when I buy art, I need to buy art which I enjoy looking at, yeah? You can't buy art purely for investment, yeah? I truly believe this is not the way to do it, yeah? It's like anything you buy, anything in life. If you buy something, let's just say, if you buy a house, right? And 10 years later, you live in a house, right? So you made an investment, okay? You have someone to value your house. So let's say you bought it for 400,000, and then the guy will tell you, in 10 years' time, oh, this is worth 800. You're not going to be sad about it, right?
You're going to be very happy about
You're going to be a very happy man. But when you bought it, you didn't buy it with the idea of like, oh, I hope this is going to go, I don't know, at what value. So with the art, it's pretty much the same. You buy art. If you happen to be, lucky that particular investment will turn to be a great investment, you're happy. If it's not, you should be happy just to have it on the wall and enjoy it. And that's how I think people should buy art.
Wow.
It has to be something which kind of like speaks to you, right? This is how you have to buy art. Something needs to create some sort of like a reaction inside you when you choose to buy a piece of art. Otherwise, if there's no connection with the piece you buy, I think you shouldn't buy it. Because the most important thing is everything you do and everything, it has to be enjoyable without necessarily to have, a financial sort of like connotation to it. So later on, yes, if I have a art valuation done for insurance purposes and someone said to me, how much you pay? I mean, they're not going to ask me, but I know how much I pay for it. And I ask, how much is this now? Oh, it's £60,000. And I know that I pay £1,000 for it. Not bad, right?
That's a great investment, I would say.
That's a great investment, but at the time...
At the time, you didn't know.
Correct.
You didn't know.
So buy what you enjoy. Buy what you love.
You will say that like the best way to invest in art will be like appreciate the piece itself.
It starts with that.
Yeah.
100%. But like anything, you educate yourself. Like if there are certain artists you really enjoy and you focus on a particular artist or particular artists, learn a little bit more about themselves. And if you want to have a bit of both, a bit of what you like and a bit of investment, you just have to do your research. Like anything in life, you have to. So you have to educate yourself. You have to go, now, like I said, information, like you say, it's power, but it's readily available. I mean, you find information on the net and everything. But the most important thing is to go into galleries, go, see shows and everything. If you start this journey, that's how I did it.
Wow. So you're saying that it's very good to take actions And then
It's very important to
start
take actions.
exploring, to see.
Totally. Because I think if you don't, well, action speaks louder than words, right?
100%.
Otherwise, what you do is just dream of something, or it's a hearsay, or you only listen to your art advisor. Hey, buy this because you know this is a good investment. Personally, I think art is very volatile. It's got the highs, but it can also have the lows. So at the moment, the art is on the low. The art market is suffering because of how it is. You know, the market is the way it is. And I don't think it's just the art. But the art is at this level. Am I happy to look at my pieces on the wall? Yes, I am. That's fine. I can live with that, you know? And that's what it's all about in the end. But if you want to get into this, you've got to go. You have to have the mileage. You have to put your boots on and go to shows, go to colleges, art colleges, do studio visits. That's how it's done. It's work, time consuming.
It is.
But nothing comes easy.
It is. It's amazing how you have these two sides of street defense and also this soft side of like art, which make you a very special person.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say. I don't consider myself special. It's just I chose this. I chose to do it for myself, not for anyone else, you know. If someone, you know, sees something like, I don't know, they see something good in what I do and they feel like, hey, look, actually, this guy's got a story to, you know, like you gave me this opportunity to tell my story in a way, right? I'm very appreciative. But, you know, next, you know, as I come out of this podcast, still going to be the same guy, you know, I whether I've changed anything in someone's mentality, very unlikely not. But if someone takes something positive from this conversation we're having today, it's fantastic.
I'm pretty sure that they will take something positive out of it.
Well, if they find something positive, I'm happy. You know, it's a great thing. But yeah,
good. So we are almost at the end of the podcast. I will say to you, what's the best advice you will give to our listener in order for them to start something new in life, like you did, and achieve something great?
Okay. First and foremost, be disciplined. Work hard, but be smart about it. Yeah, because working hard is not always smart. It's important to have a balance in life. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, because I think once you learn to be kind to yourself, you're going to be kind to others. Be very respectful. And just basically live your life, you know, with respect. And I think that's probably, to me, respect is a very strong, very powerful word, but I don't know if people really understand what that is. I think it's you need a lot of soul searching for that, you know. But I think self-discipline and respect, the two things I think they're going to take you far in life, you know, and kindness.
Thank you very much, Cat.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoy also having you here as a guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I kind of like got so much from your life experience.
Ah, man, thank you. That's very kind. I mean, look, listen, I've spoken, you know, there was no preparation for this. I really spoke from my heart, you know, so that's just, that's who I am, you know. I mean, hey, listen, we always try to improve ourselves, but listen, it's been great. Thank you so
100%.
much for having me.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And again, congratulations on a great podcast. Fantastic.
Thank you.